For this video, we're going to talk about two different concepts, inference locking and rotating objects. So before you even begin with continuing with the tutorial, go ahead and make two shapes. Make a box and make almost like a plank or a thin piece of wood. So now what I'd like you to do, now that you have those shapes, is just kind of zoom in to the side, and we're going to use those shapes a little bit later. But we're going to talk about inference locking first. Inference locking is kind of what it sounds like. When we talked about inferences last class, it's when you let Google SketchUp, or Google SketchUp helps you to know where you are in your world. With inference locking, we can use some commands, some keyboard commands, to precisely tell Google SketchUp what we want to have happen. So do this with me. Click your L for your line tool, and before you click anything, we're going to talk about what we'll do. You can set Google SketchUp so that I can draw a line straight up and down without trying to magically get along that line, which is kind of difficult sometimes. So this is how inference locking works with the line tool. You start by clicking one time, and you see that I'm just in the process of drawing a line. Now, if I press my up arrow on my keyboard, I've just inference locked, and I can only draw on that z-axis or that blue axis because I pressed my up arrow one time. I'll go ahead and press escape. We'll try another one. Click to start your line. I'm going to press my right arrow. So I pressed my right arrow, and now I'm drawing on the red axis line. I'm going to try one more time, and I'm going to click the left arrow. Left arrow, then I'm drawing on my green axis line. So you should write those down. Up arrow equals the red, blue arrow, or right arrow equals the red. Up arrow equals the blue, right arrow equals the red, and left arrow equals green. Now, why is this helpful? Well, there are going to be some times where you want to put some things up in space at a specific location, and it helps if you inference lock your line so that you're only drawing up and down, for example. Now, there are other things that you can do for inference locking. Let's say I want to draw an interesting shape over here that has 7 sides, but I want it to be completely parallel with this shape, and I want it to be flat on that same plane. Another type of inference locking is using your shift key, and your shift key actually will help you in a lot of different ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and hover on this face, the face of this shape, because I want to draw something on that plane. I'm going to hold shift and continue to hold shift while I move my cursor away, and you can see that a dotted line is created. Now while I'm holding shift, then I can draw any shape that I want, and if I orbit, you can see that I drew that on that plane, locked in with that shape. So just by holding shift. Also works if I want to draw a rectangle and I want to draw on that plane. I hold shift, hovering over it, can draw my shape, and I know that I'm going to be locked in right along that same edge. So now that we've learned about inference locking, we're going to talk about rotating. You can rotate shapes in a lot of different ways. Before we rotate shapes, I want you to do this with me. Go up to View on your menu bar, scroll down to Toolbars, and slide over and select Large Tool Set. We're going to start using some of these more advanced tools. Now, your rotate tool is on your basic tool set, but I want you to get used to what this large tool set looks like. We're going to be rotating this object. Before we rotate the object, you want to make sure you turn it into a component. And here's why. I'm going to rotate part of this object, and I want you to see what happens when I try to rotate something without it being a component. Your rotate keyboard shortcut is Q. Should write that down on your notes. And you get this weird protractor. And the protractor moves along different planes. And the planes are according to an axis: blue, red, or green. The way the rotate tool works is it's a 3-click system. The first click locks your rotate tool in place. So let's say I want to try to rotate my shape and tilt it up and down. So I have to think about where I want that axis point for my rotation. So I'm gonna put my rotate tool right here on this bottom edge. Now, here's where inference locking helps with the rotate tool. If I try to rotate it with my protractor blue, then I'm going to be rotating it actually around in a circle. And I'll show you that here real quick. I'm going to select the whole thing, and I'm going to make my protractor blue. And this is how it works. You click one time, you slide along an edge to set a reference point, you click one more time, and then you can begin rotating. So when my protractor is blue like this, when it's sitting flat on a surface, I'm basically spinning it around that edge. I'm going to try to get my protractor red. Now sometimes that's tricky if I'm on a corner. And like I said earlier, this is where inference locking can help. If I go over to a surface that I know I want to lock in with, I can hold shift while I'm on that surface, and now my protractor is not going to change to blue or green. It's going to be locked in that red position. So I can come down and click on this bottom corner, and again it's the same process. I'm going to slide along the bottom edge, click one more time, and start rotating. Now this works because my entire piece is selected. Watch what happens if it's not completely selected. Let's make it red. Drag along, click. Some weird funky things happen because I'm just trying to rotate. If you look what's blue, those lines are attached to the faces. This is why when we rotate objects, we want to get in the habit of making them components. So in the past we've talked about making components by triple clicking, right clicking, and going to make a component. Well, I'm going to teach you another way. It's the keyboard shortcut that I had forgotten about until now. You can triple click on an object, press G as in girl, and that will bring up the create component prompt, and you can just press create. So now that this is a component, I don't have to worry about funky things happening when I'm trying to rotate. I can rotate on the green axis, click, and you can see that I'm basically turning it like a hinge. Now, here's what I'd like you to practice, because this is what we're going to move into, especially next week. We're going to begin the process of putting pieces together, and I'm going to pretend that I want to make this an inclined plane attached to this box. So we can almost pretend that I have a marble that's going to slide across this box, and then I want it to go down a ramp or an inclined plane. So I need to get this inclined plane attached to my box. We do this with inferences. So if I'm going to move it, I press M for move. I want to attach this top corner to this corner. So I'm going to hover over the corner I want to go to first, slide over to my piece, and click on my endpoint. Now I'm in the process of moving. What I can do then is I can come over and I can attach it directly to that endpoint and click. And now it's in place. You can see that it's lined up perfectly. Sometimes you need to zoom in, and that's okay. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to rotate this shape so that it acts as a ramp. So I click Q for my rotate tool. I want to inference lock it on this red plane because I want to tilt it down. So I'll come over to my shape that I know is on that plane, that surface, hold shift. So now I'm locked into the red. I'm going to click on the top point, slide across my line, click one more time, and then drag down. And I have a ramp. I'd like you to create a ramp. Try your best. It's not easy, but you can get it. Because this is really where we're moving. You're going to begin doing this a lot. In the next video, we're going to be creating objects with specific measurements. And you're going to learn how to measure things and how to draw things with specific dimensions and measurements. After that video, we're getting close to the point where you're going to be able to create just about anything you want in Google SketchUp.